Ever wish you could just, like, tell the internet what to build?
Instead of wrestling with code.
Yeah. Just lay it all out, plain and simple, and boom, there's your website, your app, whatever you dreamt up.
It's a compelling shot, and that's exactly what infrastructure as language promises. IaL for short.
IaL, right. And we've got this Japanese article, plus a social media post that dives into it. It's honestly kind of blowing my mind how this could change things.
Oh, it's a huge shift for sure.
Yeah.
Not just about making coding easier, but about who gets to create in the digital world in the first place.
Okay, so for anyone just tuning in, what is ILO really?
Basically, imagine using plain language instructions to build digital infrastructure.
Servers, networks, all that.
Exactly, all that, without writing a single line of traditional code.
Whoa. So, like, I could have a killer app idea, and even without a tech team, I could.
You could theoretically define everything clearly, and IaL could help bring it to life.
That is wild. The article really drove home how this levels the playing field.
Big time. No more amazing business ideas stuck because someone can't find a developer.
And this isn't just, like, a future fantasy, right?
Nope, this is happening now. That tweet we've got links to a real-world example. They use something called Claude Dev.
Claude Dev.
It's an AI, and it actually built out a whole application with IaL.
Hold on, so an AI takes my instructions and just makes it real.
Essentially, it acts as this translator, turning plain language into the complex code a tool like, say, Terraform can use.
Terraform, that's for automating infrastructure, isn't it?
You know your stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, with IaL, even someone totally unfamiliar with Terraform could use it.
Mind-blowing. So we're talking about taking what used to be super specialized and making it universally accessible.
Pretty much. Now, there are limitations, challenges we need to consider, but the potential here is huge.
Okay, I gotta know, what do these ILN instructions actually look like?
Yeah, the article gets into some fascinating specifics.
So the article gives this example ILO instruction manual, and honestly, it's way more specific than I expected.
Right. It's not just, hey, AI, build me something amazing.
Yeah.
It gets into the nitty-gritty.
For real. Like, the example specifies which cloud provider to use, the types of servers, how much storage. It's wild.
It has to be that detailed. We're talking about translating what a human wants into something a machine can execute flawlessly.
Right. So it's like all the decisions a developer would usually make, but you're making them with words, not code.
Exactly. And that's the big unlock here. You don't need to know the ins and outs of the code for every single element.
It's like having a contractor build your dream house, but instead of blueprints, you just describe it to them.
They get it perfectly right, down to the last detail. What's really cool is that IaL can bake in best practices too.
Oh, you mean like for security?
Exactly. That's in the example,
Yeah.
right? How to set up firewalls, secure access. Stuff even seasoned developers can miss sometimes.
Which is kind of reassuring, honestly. Like, even if I don't know all the security stuff myself.
IaL can help ensure it's handled correctly from the get-go. And it's not just security, but efficient code structure, all sorts of things.
So it's like having this built-in quality control system.
Exactly. Keeps everything consistent, even on huge projects with lots of people working on them. Saves a ton of headaches down the line.
Makes sense. Though this all has me wondering, is there a limit to how complex these projects can get? Can ILL really handle anything?
That's the million-dollar question. Technically, as AI models improve, the sky's the limit. But right now, we're still figuring out the practical boundaries.
Though that project we mentioned earlier, the one built with Claude Dev and Terraform, that seemed pretty complex.
Oh, for sure. They built a whole application, user logins, databases, all of it. And it all started with plain language instructions.
Wow. So this really could be the future of, well, everything.
Potentially. But that brings up another big question, right? If anyone can build complex systems with IaL, what happens to developers?
Yeah, that's the big question looming over all this, isn't it? Are we making developers obsolete?
I think that's putting it a bit dramatically. It's less about replacing developers and more about changing what it means to be a developer.
So instead of needing to be fluent in like Python and JavaScript and all that, the essential skill becomes what? Ultra precise English?
In a way, yes. Being able to craft these instructions, these ILL blueprints, that's going to be a highly sought-after skill.
Wow. So it's like the technical ability to write code becomes less important then?
The ability to think through problems at a higher level.
Yeah.
Understanding the goals, the user needs, the ethical considerations, all those things we haven't yet figured out how to teach machines.
That is fascinating. So it's not just about what we can build, but why we're building it and what it means for the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
IaL could usher in this whole new era of digital craftsmanship, where the focus is less on the nuts and bolts of code and more on design thinking, creativity, solving problems in ways we haven't even imagined yet.
Man, we started with this idea of building the internet with words, and now it's like we've unlocked a whole philosophical debate.
That's the best kind of deep dive, isn't it?
For sure. So, for anyone listening who's now equally fascinated and maybe a little terrified by the possibilities, what's the one big takeaway we want them to walk away with?
IaL is a potential game changer. It's not just a new coding language. It's a new way of thinking about how we interact with technology.
And like any powerful tool.
It comes with responsibility. We need to make sure IaL is used for good, to empower people, not to create new divides or amplify existing ones.
That's a conversation that goes way beyond just the tech world, huh?
Absolutely. It's a conversation we all need to be a part of.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap things up for this deep dive. Big thanks to everyone for joining us on this wild ride through the world of IaL. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to everything we talked about, including that ILL project we keep mentioning.
And if you've got your OWN big ideas brewing, things you'd build if only you could describe them, well, now you might just be able to. Let us know what you come up with. Until next time, keep exploring.